Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Masterclass Episode 18. This is a show where we play, we strategize, and we explore the world of Hearthstone. And this week, with me is my co-host, Tarn. How's it going, Tarn?
It's going great. I can't complain. Getting a good amount of gaming in. Getting ready to take a little trip. Everything's going great. Looking forward to a great episode with a really fun and awesome guest tonight.
Absolutely. And as you guys can see on screen, our guest tonight to talk about Best of Strategy from Clarity Gaming is the reigning King of the Hill champion, Chakki. Chakki, how's it coming on the show?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on the show. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, as I said, we'll be discussing best of 5 or best of 7 strategy, a lot of the tournament format strategies you see, or the King of the Hill strategy. But before we do that on this show, we do really like to warm it up. We don't want to ever get into gaming or strategy cold. So, as we do, let us warm it up. So, Chakki, I'm going to send you out a challenge, and we're going to do a little speed chess style warm-up.
All right, bring it.
I'll just lay back and relax here. This is my style of warm-up. All right.
Yep. So, just like have a little bit of fun with it. Go a little garish versus Thrall here. Nothing wrong with that.
It's pretty fitting. It's pretty classic matchup right now we got going on.
Absolutely.
Lore-wise.
Don't take that the wrong way, Chakki. My greetings.
Are you BMing me?
No, man! I'm not BMing you! I'm just saying greetings! So crazy. People get crazy.
I mean,
that's the totem I wanted to see.
Oh, F&A,
Toby does
Cotton.
love to BM during the warm-up, so, you know.
F&A, Cotton. What are you doing? What are you doing to me? Oh, really?
Don't worry about it.
You shall not pass.
Oh, no.
Get out of here.
Oh, Earthshock.
Get out
Wow,
of
Lucker Totem.
here. I would have
Are
been
you sure that's the totem you wanted to see?
That's not the totem I wanted to see.
Oh, Chakki, welcome to Masterclass. I run totemhacks.com, and it's a little website that you can add a program on that gives you any totem you want. You just pick it from a drop-down menu.
All right, round 2. Let's go, buddy.
All right. Round 2 it is.
Oh, leaves the Worgen undealt with. Here we go.
Uh-oh. This isn't going to be good.
Unfortunately, I can't really enrage it.
Oh, I lost your guys' videos. Hopefully we'll get those back soon.
Oh, no.
That's strange. Should be alright. I'm seeing video over on my end on both sides.
Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing any video from either of you. So, let's do that.
Oh, no.
I know why your video guys.
Oh, my Leopardum survived.
It did.
Okay.
It did indeed.
As long as the Leopardum's alive, the dream's alive.
Oh no. I don't like the sound of this.
Alright. Get in there and fight.
Can you guys start and stop and restart your videos for me? Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Alright. I tried.
Thanks, guys. This is not going well. But I do appreciate the amount of aggression you're bringing to bear.
Huh. Let's see. Yeah, I'm all about that aggro warrior.
I like it. Isn't looking good. Shaman's going down. Ha! Oh, videos are back. Woohoo!
Oh, that's good.
Actually, I don't want the pain to speak to you. I would prefer if the pain just left and didn't speak to anybody. That's what I would prefer.
The pain's speaking to you right now, buddy.
I know. I'm not liking the pain speaking to me. Oh, so painful. It hurts. God damn this pain.
The Doges. Alright.
These are not doggies, my friend. These are the wolves. They're a little bit fiercer than the doggies.
Alright, so...
I don't think this is going to help me, though. I don't think it's going to do the job.
So I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Nymph for this brawl.
Oh.
Oh, never... Dang.
Yoo-hoo!
That was disappointing.
You just can't call Nimsh luck on my show. This doesn't work that way, man. Good try, though. Good try. Props. I just told you the pain is not going to speak to you. Come on. All right, what are we doing here?
I mean...
Well, I only have 6 health, but that is better than being dead. It is surely better to have 6 health than be dead.
Fair enough.
Oh, wow. Look at it. That's a late game armor smith. Love it.
Oh, that's pretty rough. I guess I'll take the armor.
Yeah, the armor is good for you, but I'm gonna take it back. No armor. He giveth and then he taketh away.
Wow. Why you gotta be so cold? This is looking pretty rough right now.
The pain was speaking to me, but not anymore.
Damn. Let's see here. think I'm looking pretty rough shape.
That's right. I mean, it's what Kobe likes to do. He tries to get you to play a fun deck for the warm up, and then he plays a serious deck and wins. So you know that's kind of his thing.
I've got this.
Uh-oh.
This game's over.
I don't like the look of that.
This game's over, man. Just concede. Save me the trouble. Okay. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm still alive, though.
You are still alive. And
Sure you don't want to play around Mortal Strike?
Oh, no.
You never know.
Oh, Jesus.
You're already there, man. There's no more playing around.
Your own totem? Oh, man.
Just in case.
Just in case, okay.
I like it. I think you are gonna Mortal Strike me. Nope, you're gonna Brawl me.
Oh! Okay, so...
That's gonna be pretty close to GG.
Upgrade!
Oh,
and I did anyway.
No! Oh, and you had the Mortal Strike? You bastard. Nicely done.
I top decked the Mortal Strike anyway.
I do like that I gave myself the second option with the Hex Totem, so... The Hex guy. Nicely done.
Yeah, the Hex was pretty nice. I'll give it to you.
Nicely done. Well, that was a fun little warm-up. And, yeah. So, we're going to move on to our next segment. which will be talking about best of tournament strategy. So ultimately, we're going to move into game time decisions, where we look at 3 or 4 moments in the King of the Hill and talk about how and why you made the decisions you made. But before we get into that, I'd like to talk about overall strategy. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the decks you choose, the matchups that are favorable for one deck versus another, and overall what your thought process is in a sort of King of the Hill or best of strategy. And I'm going to bring up on the screen our first matchup we're going to discuss, just for people to look at something, but ultimately we can talk about these King of the Hill or best of strategies.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts in terms of when you come into a best of 5 or best of 7? How do you construct your decks? Like, what kind of decks do you want to bring to bear?
Well, the first thing I actually do, I don't even really think about the decks I want to play. I just I look at what my opponent plays. So I kind of try to scout them. Now, sometimes that's not possible, but like in the case of Alchemix, like Alchemix has played in 4 King of the Hills in the past few weeks, and he also streams a bit. So I've got quite a bit of stuff to look at, and I can see what he likes to play. And people, rarely break their habits. So if he, has habits of what decks he likes to play, what he likes to lead off with, he'll probably keep them. So I use that as kind of like my starting place. At the same time, I still have my favored classes and things, but in this case, actually, this Paladin deck is not something I'm very well practiced with, and was something I brought specifically to try and beat what I thought Alchemix would be bringing.
Yeah, that's interesting, because for those of you who have not watched, spoiler alert, go check it out. Pause this right now and go watch, because we're about to talk about what happened. Chakki won. It was a really close series, and it was very interesting. A lot of fun, a lot of good info and gameplay. But also, Artosis said on more than one occasion that you tend to play more aggressively, and we did see a few control decks in here. So do you not tend to play aggressively, or is he right and then you were just modifying yourself towards what you saw?
Well, I guess I would say, I do tend to play aggressively, and I think I play those decks better than my control decks. But at the same time, it's a card game, and if I want to be at the top, I'm going to have to explore all angles and not really restrict myself based on, what I like to play. So I've been trying to learn more of, just kind of every type of deck and trying to be a more well-rounded player.
Cool. So on that topic, can you talk a little bit about what decks you think favor other decks in the matchup? So, like, if you see a Hunter, what 1 or 2 decks you're going to want to play against it? If you see a Shaman, a Zoo Warlock, just kind of talk a little bit about decks and their strengths and weaknesses for our viewers.
Sure. So I'll just go down the line. So and I'm just going to cover like the most standard stuff.
Absolutely.
So like against Druid, the most standard thing is probably just going to be Watcher Druid. And if I wanted to counter that, I'd probably just choose to bring, like Handlock. I think is really solid against it. Yeah. I also think probably, this new Hunter mid-range deck is really good against it, and Warrior is solid against it.
The control Warrior, right?
Yeah. Nothing's really gonna stomp Druid into the ground. That's kind of Druid's thing, is it's just solid against the field. So you can't really expect to bring anything that's going to 100% beat it. But so against the Hunter deck, so there's kind of 2 of these now. There's the aggro one and the mid-range one. And so against the aggro one, there's Control Warrior beats it really nicely. And also Ramp Druid can beat it, but I'm not a big fan of Ramp Druid, so normally my counter to Hunter to the aggro version is just Warrior control. And also the Paladin control deck I had does extremely well against Hunter aggro.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
And against the mid-range,
I was going to say,
go ahead.
I've seen a couple people, like Artosis played at IEM, a more defensive Druid with like certain spells that give it taunt, like for example, what is it? Oh, I don't have it on my list here. It gives a guy
Mark of the Wild?
Yeah, stuff like that. And he had some Earthen Ring Farseers. Do you feel like that more defensive Druid has a decent shot, or is it just trying?
That's definitely better against Hunter, against the aggro Hunter, but I actually feel like the aggro Hunter is still in a really strong position in that matchup because of cards like Hunter's Mark, which just kind of nullify your taunts.
Sure.
But it's probably maybe slightly in the Druid's favor. Okay. So if you want your Druid deck to take out the Hunters, then that's a good route to go.
Cool. And you were saying the more the newer Hunter,
Yeah, the mid-range Hunter that's kind of come out recently, I think the credit goes to, like, Life Coach. I think he's the one that really developed it, and now everybody's playing it. I think good decks against that are honestly just, like, really solid mid-range stuff. So I think Rogue actually does quite well against it, and Shaman does really well against it, surprisingly, because cards like Hex just really crush Savannah Highmate. And actually, Handlock does surprisingly well. It's kind of weird, because decks that lose to Hunter seem to do well against mid-range Hunter.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
But
my Shaman... Oh, go ahead, please.
Just the mid-range Hunter, it's just like pretty solid across the board. It's got a lot less, matchups that it crushes, but it also has a lot less matchups that it gets crushed by. The aggro Hunter is a lot more like polarized, where you're going to lose a lot of the time to these Ramp Druid and Control Warriors, but you're also going to just never lose to some classes like Rogue and Shaman.
Hey, Tarn, any matchups you're particularly interested in hearing Chakki's opinions on?
I think I'm trying to remember the one of the matchups that was really cool in the King of the Hill. Off the top of my head, what was it? It was Rogue versus Warrior. Actually, I think that played out really interesting. You played kind of like a mid-range kind of a control-ish Rogue against the Control Warrior, obviously. And I just really kind of enjoyed that matchup.
Go ahead.
I was just curious on your thoughts. I mean, I think that's just the way it played out. I think you had won with your Rogue, and I think he played Warrior to counter it, which I'd probably agree with the pick. But overall, it was just kind of a fun matchup to watch in general.
Yeah. So both of us actually got to play that matchup from both ends, and the Warrior won both times.
Yep.
And I think in my case, I actually, before the matches, I put in Blood Knight in place of my Big Game Hunter, and there was a point where he basically played Gramash just alone, and I had Blood Knight in my hand, and I was thinking, well, if this was a Big Game Hunter, I'd probably win this game, because I had just developed card advantage from Sprint. And then he took advantage of that just by slamming a Gramash on the board as a 4/9 and hitting my face. And I didn't have an answer because I took out my Big Game Hunter. But I feel like with Big Game Hunter, the Rogue has a shot. But I would say the Warrior is definitely still favored.
Yeah. Guys, by the way, FYI, I lost your video feeds again. So if you can bring those down and back up for me. Sorry about this, guys.
Interesting.
There seems to be some... Oh, Tarn, you're back. There's some... Every now and again, we seem to have a couple internet related issues. That's an interesting matchup. So what about the Priest? There's a new Priest out there that's pretty strong, and I wouldn't, maybe new's not the right word, but there's been a Priest playing the last couple weeks that's been pretty strong, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that deck as well as what it matches up favorably and not favorably versus... Oh, you're back.
Okay, I don't play much Priest. It's my least leveled class and stuff, but I can still talk about it, I guess. In my experience, Priest is by far like the weakest class. I guess it can be stronger in tournament play, but even in tournament play, I don't think I've ever dropped a game against a Priest with various classes. I've beaten it with Hunter, Rogue, Warrior, but then again, I haven't played against some of the top-of-the-line Priests. I have actually played against some of them, but I'm actually going to face a Maz in some matches coming up, so we'll see if he can take me down with his Priest. I know he's a really good Priest player.
Yeah.
As far as matchups go, I've heard both ways on against Warrior control. But generally, I think it's just a very skill-dependent matchup. Depends on your experience, and I don't have much experience, so I won't talk much about that. I think Handlock seems to do really well against Priest. They just don't have enough answers for things like the Ancient Watchers and the Twilight Drakes.
Yeah.
Aggro Lock seems to be kind of favored for the Priest. It all depends on that Circle of Healing Auchenai combo.
Yep.
The rogue deck, my rogue deck, seems to do pretty well against the Priest, because especially with the Sprint, I feel like that's a really key card in that matchup. You can kind of gain back card advantage after you spend all your cards to get tempo on them. And the Paladin definitely beats Priest. I've played that matchup quite a few times. I actually expected Alchemix to play Priest, so that was one of the reasons I included that Paladin deck in my lineup.
Okay.
And I tested that matchup 5 or 6 times, and almost every single time it would go to deck out, and the Priest just doesn't have enough pressure to ever kill you, so it's almost impossible to lose. The Hunter, I think it really depends on how many taunts the Priest decides to run. Some run just like a single Argus, some run 2 Argus, 2 Sinjin, maybe a Sunwalker. It can get really ridiculous. I think it all just depends on how much the Priest wants to beat Hunter.
Yeah. And
then Druid, I feel, is probably, it's favored towards the Priest. I feel like that's one of the matchups Priest is nice in.
Okay. Interesting. So, we've talked about the King of the Hill and how you prepped for this specific game against Alchemix, and we're going to talk more about that. But before we jump to that subject, I would like to just say, if you're playing a best of 3 or a best of 5, what 3 or 5 decks would you bring and why? Do you tend to bring a control to deal with something, an aggro? Like, how do you choose your breakdown of decks if you're going to a tournament that you're going to play multiple rounds? What would you think would be the best strategy for you or for a player?
I think that you just want to bring, if you don't know your opponent at all and you just know you're going into like a best of 5 or a best of 3 with 3 decks, you definitely just want to bring what you consider kind of the most solid decks, and you don't want to have any obvious weaknesses within your decks. And I think like the one deck I would say I'm going to bring every single time is Warrior Control into a blind best of 5. I feel like Warrior Control is just super solid. It has some slam dunk matchups, and it can easily 3-0 people. Usually I anchor with it though, so if needed I can bring it back.
Yeah.
Warlock is probably my second favorite class.
Is it aggro
or handlock?
Either or?
Huh. Either one works. Aggro or handlock both do fine. Personally, I'm liking handlock lately. And then my third class is probably between Druid, Hunter, and Rogue.
Okay.
I'd consider any of those 3 depending on how I felt at the time.
Okay.
Recently, I've been favoring a lot of Rogue.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that was great. That's exactly what I've been looking for. And so we're going to jump over to the next segment, which has been up on screen for a while, which is the King of the Hill and what we're calling the sort of game time decisions. So before each screenshot we show of a certain moment in the game, I'm going to show the decks, and we can talk very briefly about them. Tarn, do you want to start it off with the match? It's 1-1 on the scoreboard, and we have a warrior versus a priest.
Versus Paladin?
Paladin. Thank
sure.
you, sir.
No problem. This is definitely an interesting matchup. This is kind of like not a straight Healadin Paladin, but obviously it does have a decent amount of core healing with the 1 land hands, the 1 holy light, and the 1 Guardian of Kings. And I've typically found that Paladin actually does match up really well against a control warrior. So this was definitely one of the matchups I was looking to see, because it definitely has those answers with the equality. You have equality Consecration, you have equality Avenging Wrath, you have equality in just one of your tokens to take out some of those big late game finishers that the control warrior is relying on. And then of course you have your own things like Tyrion and Karn Bloodhoof. And personally in this matchup, I really love, I love the kind of recent resurgence in Harrison Jones. He's actually one of my favorite cards. I run him in actually my mage deck, which is one of my favorite decks to play. And I think that card just in this matchup in general is awesome. I mean, you can smash the Gore Howl, which the Warriors relying on late game, or really in the mid game, you can really mess up the Warriors' tempo by just smashing a a normal Fiery War Axe. So I think this matchup plays really good. I think in general, I think it's going to be a close game, but in general, I think a Paladin is looking pretty good in this matchup.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump to the game time decision. That was a good breakdown. So we are at turn 9, and it is Chakki's move. It'll actually always be Chakki's move because we're analyzing his decisions. And he has 9 mana. So Chakki, do you want to run us through your thought process here?
Sure. So this is a situation that's going to happen almost every game in this matchup. They're just, they start off the beat down by Alexstrasing you from 30 to 15. That's their idea. The first 9 turns are really slow, and this is basically when the warrior starts going on the offensive. As you can tell by his 25 armor, he's been doing a lot of armoring. Yeah. So ideally, the way you deal with this is using Aldor Peacekeeper, because the warrior has so many threats that you can't afford to lose an equality on their Alexstrasza, or else you just can't deal with their Ragnaros, their Gramash, their Cairn, etc. So I don't have an Aldor Peacekeeper here, which is really bad for me. So basically, Artosis suggested, that I would use the equality, but if I were to use the equality, I have almost no good response to if he were to, Whirlwind Ragnaros. So instead, I decide to I think about it for a bit, and I think my 2 options here are either Argusing to put up 2/2/2 taunts.
Yep.
Or I can put down a Sunwalker. And normally I'd make a token, but with Divine Favor in my hand, I think just playing out a card is better, so I play the Mind Control tech. So I decide on the...
Nice. Yeah, that's what I was curious about. The Mind Control tech play. I'm going to jump to where you make the play. Mind Control is something I was curious about. I'm sure other people were. And that was based on your Divine Favor card. That's really great insight. Please continue.
The Mind Control tech basically is never going to get value from now on, because he's never going to ever put out 4 cards. And I believe I attacked here just because I had another True Silver in my deck. I think that was my reasoning behind attacking. And also I didn't know if he ran Harrison or not, and I didn't want him to Harrison for a card.
Yeah.
And I figured there's never really another opportunity for me to attack a minion from this point on. His turns are most likely just going to be slamming a bunch of legendaries.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Tarn.
Yeah, and I mean the +2 health is, at that point always at least a slight bonus. I mean,
yeah.
I think I definitely agreed with that attack. I mean, you're not going to be attacking into Alexstrasza, you're not going to be attacking into Ragnaros or Garmash or anything like that, so I mean, why not? He's already played all the Berserkers, he's already played all the Armor Smiths, he's already played all the the Acolytes of Pain, so I definitely agreed with that attack, personally.
So you flooded the board, you put up a taunt with Divine Shield. Had you not had that particular one, would you have done this with other taunts? You said obviously the Defender on your 2/1/1s was an option. Do you favor the Divine Shield taunt because of its durability versus a warrior?
Yeah, the 2/2/2s are a lot more clearable. Like something like a Fiery War Axe, or just if he happen to have Whirlwind plus something, it's very easy to get through. At this point, he's really just looking to hit my face.
Yeah.
Because I'm really low, and so at this point, in my point of view, I'm really scared of Gramash plus an Enrage to kill me. So in my eyes, I need to put up a taunt this turn. Since I can't Aldor Peacekeeper the Alexstrasza.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. All right. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next matchup?
No, not really. I think I explained most of it.
Cool. So the next matchup, as we try to get your video back here, is the Rogue versus the Hand Lock. So, Tarn, do you want to start this off?
Sure, yeah, let me get back to where it's showing it. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting matchup for sure. Rogue versus Handlock. I don't know, this is definitely a matchup that I don't have too much experience about playing and actually watching, because this is kind of like a definitely a mid-range rogue. It's, obviously not a miracle rogue, but it's definitely running the mid-range. It definitely has, some of the capabilities that a miracle rogue does, with the shadow step and whatnot. But overall, it's pretty good. I mean, I think it's a pretty well-balanced matchup. The Handlock has, the capabilities with the Twilight Drakes and the early Giants that can really put the Rogue under. If the cards don't fall into place, the Rogue has that, the mid-range capabilities. Obviously, it's a mid-range deck to really punish in the middle. So I think it's definitely an interesting matchup, and it's definitely can go either way. I think either way the game ends, it's going to end kind of violently for one side or the other in this matchup. Either end with Giants just crushing face, or end with there just being kind of an overwhelming amount of stuff from the Rogue on the Rogue side.
Absolutely. And Chakki, this is 2-2. Had you just lost or won the match? Did the Rogue come into play here, or did the Handlock come into play here?
This was his counter pick to my deck.
Okay.
So his last deck was Warlock aggro, and I think the Rogue is definitely better against Handlock than Warlock aggro.
What do you think of that?
They're
Mukla?
both okay. I'm not sure I like Mukla. In this matchup especially, it's probably not that good. Well, I guess it can be good if you played on turn 2 with the coin.
Yeah.
Because the Warlock doesn't have a good turn 3 minion. They're probably just going to end up life tapping. But in general, I think he's really favored because of the Shadow Step, the Cold Blood, the BGH, and the Assassinate.
Yeah.
He has a lot of ways to deal with Giants, and he also has more bursts than you normally do. He plays 2 Argent Commanders, Leroy, Shadow Step, and Cold Blood. Usually you have Shadow Step or Cold Blood, but in this case he has both. So he's bringing a lot of burst options, and also a lot of options to kill off Giants really easily.
Where does that weaken this deck? It looks like that would probably weaken this deck versus, like, it doesn't have as much AoE, so if it got a board filled, it would struggle. Trying to figure out where that extra burst hurts this Rogue.
So as compared to my list, he basically took out stuff like Harrison Jones, Karen Bloodhoof, Sprint, just a lot of anti-control cards that are more sticky rather than bursty, going for more of a later game plan, whereas this deck really looks to need to win extremely quickly. And Cold Blood, Shadow Step, Argent Commanders, they all aid that strategy. It's just kind of a small difference in how you want to go about your turn 6+ with this Rogue deck.
Cool. All right, I'm going to jump into the moment in the game, and the moment we're actually going to talk about is the mulligan. So please tell me your thoughts and why you did what you did.
So I knew he had the big game hunter and things, so I didn't want to go for a turn 4 Giant. Luckily, I drew this Twilight Drake, and I saw this Ancient Watcher Owl combo, and I think I got a little greedy because of it. I think I wouldn't have done it if I could redo it. I would just mulligan both of those.
What would you look for?
And just I would just be looking for stuff like Soulfire. Just more, maybe another Twilight Drake would be really good, because then I could go turn 3 Twilight Drake, turn 4 Twilight Drake, both with really high health. I think I just went for too aggressive of an opening in a matchup I don't think I really needed to, because how I end up losing this game is I just don't have enough board or enough taunt to survive on the turn that he has the really bursty combos, because I ended up spending a lot of resources just to get this turn 2 Watcher that got fairly easily dealt with.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then as we sort of move towards the turn 6, turn 7 of this game, we're seeing we're seeing where you're at, and you have another critical decision to make here. And Tarn, if there's anything you want to add to the first bit or to this bit, please jump in about the mulligan.
No, I think that's pretty much dead on. It's such a tempting thing to keep. The coin watcher, the second turn out, Iron Beak, and hit the face or clear board or something like that. But if that watcher is able to be dealt with, which unfortunately was in this case, then you've spent the coin, the watcher, and the owl. You're really burning through your cards fast, and you just don't have that mid-game meat of, like you said, dual Twilight Drakes would be probably the best case scenario, or the removal of the Soulfire, to keep the mid-range, the mid-game, the turn 4, 5, 6 kind of in your favor. But it's a tough call because, sometimes the watcher can do that for you. Sometimes you can, get that watcher silenced on turn 3, and that watcher can carry you into those turns.
Yeah.
So it's a really tough decision, especially when you see it in your hand immediately, even, pre-mulligan. So I don't know what I would play. I probably would have picked the same hand, and it probably would have been for the same reasons. Just because it's almost too tempting in any scenario to pass up.
Yeah, I mean, the rogue has such a strong amount of removal. It's one of its strengths, but still, you've got the combo. It's a really hard thing to let go of. So, Chakki, how do you think about that discipline in the future and the reality of letting go of such a strong combo that's there in front of you?
I think it's just a problem I had of you need to really think about the whole game for your deck versus their deck, not just how strong you want these opening turns to be. Because I ended up having a strong early game, and so did he. And then going into the mid game is where I really needed to turn up the power, and I just didn't have much because not only are you losing out on the cards because you're playing them, but you're also losing out on the potential cards because you're not life tapping. So I ended up going into turn 4, turn 5 with a very small hand size as compared to normal hand lock hands.
Right, because you're not life tapping, you're playing out a bunch of cards. That makes with a hand lock. I see why that's a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, my Twilight Drake normally it baits out at least 2 cards. I think in this case it got dealt with really easily. The Watcher died to half of a deadly poison and a loot hoarder. So really, I was just getting traded with insanely efficiently, and basically I got too greedy for the early game when my deck is the one that wants to take it to the mid-late game.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. If your deck has such a specific polarized strategy, and you decide because of a certain mulligan to go away from that strategy, I can see now, looking at the big picture, why you would never make that choice now. But you really do need to think about it that way in order to step away from what looks like such a strong hand. And here we go onto turn 7, where you have a big decision to make here. It's 20 to 24 health. The Alchemist has a Drake out, and you have a decent hand. Obviously, we've talked about how it could have been stronger. What's your choice here? What's your thought process?
So with this hand, there are 3 different choices, essentially. One is Siphon Soul the Drake and pass. That puts me at 23 and gives him just a turn to develop his board without me having anything to respond. So let's say I Siphon it. This was my thinking anyway. I Siphon it, he's just going to play out 2 minions, and it's going to come to my turn, and I'm going to have the exact same turn again, except he has 2 minions. So basically, that's why I didn't Siphon Soul here. I figure if I ever play minions in this matchup, I want to play it when he has 1 minion out rather than 2. So I figure I need to play this Mountain Giant. So the other option is I can play this Mountain Giant and a Voidwalker, or I can life tap and then play the Mountain Giant. And at this point, my line of thinking was I needed to be greedy at some point in this game to win, and if he had it, he had it, and he happened to have it. He had a Shadow Step Leroy Eviscerate, which was more than enough to kill me.
Yeah.
I ended up just tapping and playing the Giant. I played greedy, and I'm not sure it was necessarily the wrong decision, but I could have lived that turn. I'm not sure where the game would have gone from there. I think I probably still would have lost. But basically next turn I was aiming for probably something like Voidwalker, Power Overwhelming, Shadow Flame to clear. I was just hoping his turn was just laying 2 minions and hitting my face.
Yep.
And then I could maybe gain back some momentum and look to finish the game.
So it's interesting because I've kind of cycled through the next few screenshots where you play the Mountain Giant and then Leroy gets played, Shadow Stepped, and he gets you down and he'll eventually finish you off this turn. You talked about that potential of killing his Drake, and he would just have 2 minions next turn. But as we look at this hand, but also think about this rogue, would you rethink that idea? Because this rogue has quite a bunch of spells and combos. It's got some minions, but it's not the most minion-heavy deck, and there's always a chance he doesn't have 2 strong minions to play. So what are your thoughts about that now?
Well, I mean, the odds that he has the Shadow Step are considerably less than him having any minion in his deck.
Yep.
Such as just like King Mukla, he could have his other Azure Drake. Mm-hmm. He could even have just like Scrub, or just any minion. Mm-hmm. And so, there's a chance he has the burst combo in his hand. And that was, an assumption I went into the turn thinking, yes, I'm dead to this. And he happened to have it. But looking back, I'm still a little shaky about my play. I don't know. Maybe if anything, I think I might have done the Voidwalker Mountain Giant play instead.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think my play, percentage-wise, is probably still okay.
So, wait, can you Void... Oh, yeah, you had 6 mana. You would have been able to Voidwalker Mountain Giant. Let me go back.
Yeah.
So, what did you do? You did Mountain Giant no Voidwalker? Is that basically what you did? You left
I life tapped into Mountain Giant to get another card. And I saved the Voidwalker because I wanted to play Voidwalker, Power Overwhelming it, and Shadow Flame.
Oh, right. So
and ideally off of the next 2 draws, one of them would be a Sun Fury Protector, and then my next turn could be clear his board, put up a taunt on the 8/8 Giant.
Right.
At this point, it's just really hard to play around all the different things in his deck. He has a Big Game Hunter, he has a Black Knight, an Assassinate, and also just the Burst combo. And at the same time, if you play 2 defensively, he'll overrun you by just, if he doesn't have anything good, he just has minions, and you play 2 defensively, he'll just play stuff on the board.
So do you think that this game you were put at risk by earlier decisions, as we've talked about previously? You could have been in a better spot before this even happened?
Yeah, if I had to pick out one mistake from this game, I think it was how I mulliganed and played the early turns.
Cool. Very good insight. Okay, and Tarn, I'm going to jump to the last grouping, and this is Mukla Lock versus, looks like the Chakki Cat's Warrior is what I'm guessing that name means. So Tarn, what do you think about this matchup, as well as you, Chakki?
Let's see. This is okay. Sorry, it just came up on the screen now. Okay, so yeah, we have the kind of a modified Zoo Lock with things like Mukla in there, and things like Black Knight. That's also the other interesting addition to this kind of Zoo Lock style versus the Control Warrior. It's definitely an interesting matchup. I was definitely really intrigued to see this new or new to me anyways, this Mukla Lock style. The Black Knight and King Mukla obviously kind of threw me for a loop. I kind of like King Mukla in the mixture of the Zoo Lock. The Black Knight obviously can be a really great card for some finishers if you're just needing to get rid of a big taunt and push face. But overall, I again kind of really liked the Warrior's position in this matchup. I think a Control Warrior can do very, very well against just kind of any variation of the Zoo Lock. With your Bothering Berserkers, your capabilities to armor up early game, whirlwind things early game, slam things early game, shield slam, etc. So I think that overall I'd give the edge to the warrior here.
Chakki, what do you think here about what do you think? What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think it's probably actually slightly in the warlock's favor. Only slightly because he's playing cards like the Black Knight and Earthen Ring Farseer, which are not very good. Also, Mortal Coil's not very good against Warlock, or against Warrior, rather. If he was running just the standard aggro lock list with no coils and just no Black Knight, let's say he put in Argent Commanders instead of Black Knight and Earthen Ring Farseer, I think his chances would be really strong, maybe like 60-40. Because basically what's going to happen is the warrior will have, good removal early game, and they'll be able to deal with your minions, but as your turns evolve to life tapping every single turn, you're basically going to be just putting out more stuff than they can deal with. And in the mid game, if you can draw into like a Doomguard, and they don't have something like a Whirlwind Execute, then it can be really hard for the warrior to just keep up with you spamming the board.
Yeah, so this is a particularly interesting and unique situation. Turn 4, double Knife Juggler, action to you, and I mean, I don't know what to say here other than you really do not have a lot of options here.
Yeah, well, I actually have precisely one decision to make, and that's double Whirlwind or not.
Right.
And I end up doing it, and it ends up working out really well for me. But this kind of goes with what I was saying, is you can deal with all their stuff, but then think about my turn 5. After that, I do not have a good turn 5 if he just plays more minions.
Yep.
If he plays 3 small minions next turn, my turn 5 is atrocious.
Right.
And that was the only thing that might have made me stop from double whirlwinding, but at the same time, I really didn't want to take an extra, 10 damage.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could afford to take that, so I kind of bit the bullet and used the double whirlwind. And, honestly, any play he has here with my hand's really bad against it. Because if he Doomguards, my best play is to Faceless his Doomguard and then hit his face.
Yep.
And if he just plays small minions, I don't have anything to deal with those.
Right.
I ended up top decking Shield Block into Fiery War Axe to kill off a Direwolf Alpha, which was pretty lucky from my end. Because turn 5, looking at my hand, turn 5 is the one turn I need to fill with this hand.
Yeah.
Because I can go Cairn on 6 and Baron Geddon on 7. Baron Geddon's extremely strong in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I went with a little bit of a... It's actually a safe play, technically, but it's risky because my turn 5 could have been garbage, but I ended up top decking my way out of that.
Yeah.
And having a decent play.
I'm going back to the card list here. You wouldn't want to play a Harrison if you had it, because you want to wait for a weapon. Frothings, Acolytes, and potentially Taskmasters or an Armor Smith are really your turn 5 plays where you're playing multiple minions, 2 and 3 health, 2 and 3 cost minions, it seems like, which you didn't have, of course. Is that typically where this deck wants to be at turn 5?
Well, in the aggro lock matchup, your turn 5, you just want to usually just use removal.
Okay.
Generally, everything up to turn 6 is you being on the defensive, playing removal. Early game, you want to play your small minions, like Armor Smith, Cruel Taskmaster, Frothing. Mm-hmm. And then you want to use your removal on turn 4 and 5. And then turn 6 is a pretty decent time to Cairn. It's going to put you behind if they have stuff on the board, but if you can play Cairn into a really small board, he works out really well in the coming turns because he's impossible for the aggro lock to deal with.
Sure.
And your turn 7, you almost always just want to play Baron Geddon, so I was lucky to have that card. And your turn 9, you usually want to curve out to Alexstrasza to heal yourself. But it's generally a pretty poor matchup for the warrior.
As we move on to the next segment, we're going to play Heads Up. So you versus me. I'm going to close out my my game window, and we're just going to run through a game and just go crazy.
Okay.
It's always fun for me to get clobbered by my guests, and I know people who watch love to see it. So.
All right. Should I play a fun deck? I'm thinking about it.
Whatever, yeah, man. Go. Whatever your heart desires.
All right. This is what my heart desires.
Oh my goodness gracious! What do you have in store for me, Mr. Chakki? Ooh, Tarn's gonna be happy about this.
Am I?
Yeah,
Am I?
He's playing a mage.
I can't see it yet. I'm just waiting. Oh, mage? Okay, yeah. I'm definitely happy. A little Jaina representing.
Yeah, let me jump to the right overlay here. There we go. All right. I greet you, Mrs. Jaina.
My magic will tear you apart.
I'm sorry about that. And begins the episode. The master class, as I like to think of it, a little bit of master class in BM from our guest Chakki here.
Shield bearer time.
What is this?
Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried.
Oh, yeah. You shall not pass.
I'm not worried at all, my friend. I'm not worried at all.
Alright.
Yeah, I know you're taking that card.
Of course I am.
Why would you not take that card? Well, you're gonna have card advantage.
I would hope so.
You're going to get card advantage, sir. I cannot stop that. Only thing I could have done was silence it. Go into the face. I like it. I like it. He pulls no punches. It's an interesting turn here.
Oh, the muse.
Yeah, I don't really like any of my options here. Actually, I really don't like any of my options here. Man.
Well, you got so many, man. You got so many.
Show and Yeti, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I want to deal with what you have, and I just dealt with the mirror images, which is not wonderful.
You want to deal with this acolyte of pain?
I want to.
All right, fair enough.
I want to start putting something on the face, maybe a little damage. There we go. That's why I might have put something on the face. I feel like I'm playing against a freezing mage.
It's,
God, you're gonna have another freeze.
Is he? Is he gonna have a freeze?
I would never.
I mean, he just took your Yeti down to 4 health. I think he might have something other than freeze in store.
Not this turn. Oh, did he save the coin? Oh, son of a bitch. I forgot he saved the coin.
This acolyte's gotten like 4 damage in, man.
He's scary.
He doesn't play around.
That acolyte is very scary.
I mean, he just likes to bring the pain, that's all.
Ugh.
Bring the pain. Oh no, what are you doing? My acolyte. Alright, he got 5 damage in, and he drew 3 cards. He's pretty beast.
This is such a bad gamble.
Okay.
It's the only thing I can think of.
Okay, I like it, I like it.
That's not good. I was hoping you didn't. I was hoping you didn't run it. I was hoping you were going for the double blizzard. Well, that's tough.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. You did that to your board on turn 7? Come on.
I figured.
Oh, man.
I was hoping and praying that he was going for the double blizzard, and that's why I brought it up to 3.
Oh, man.
I was wrong.
Okay. Okay.
I love it. I love your passive aggressiveness. It's so good. Oh, I wonder what that is. Oh, interesting.
The end is
The
coming.
anticipation is killing me.
Alright.
Okay. So I know what that is.
Do you? What if it's a mirror entity?
Could be.
What if it's counterspell or spellbender? You haven't exhausted all the options yet.
So true.
Oh man, that was a heal 8. That was a pretty nice Doomsayer.
Yeah. That Doomsayer was strong.
Alrighty. It's go time.
Uh-oh.
I got this.
You're already dead. You just haven't caught up yet. Alright. Alright, here we go. You shall not pass.
I will not pass. There'll be no passing.
There will be no passing today.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done. That ice block, man. That ice block. Well played, sir.
That ice block.
Well played. That was, you know, that was a lot less bad manner than I'd come to expect from you. Our next segment, we're going to jump into the browser window because we want to take a look at this announcement that came ago, and it's The Curse of Naxxramas. This is the first single-player adventure mode for Hearthstone. This will be released by Blizzard this summer. I know a bunch of people have done videos about it, and you should check them out. It's a wonderful addition to the Hearthstone world, and certainly will be exploring it. It entails new cards. It entails new bosses, and if you haven't seen it yet, you really should check it out. You know, it's something that I think a lot of people who play Hearthstone seriously are excited about as a way to just mix it up a little bit and try something new. And for those of us who are more casual, it's certainly something they're waiting for and looking forward to. We even have a new game board. So, Charn, you want to talk a little bit about this and tell us whether you like it or don't like it or what your thoughts are?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a fantastic announcement all around. like you said, those who are, hardcore playing the game, new cards is what everyone's been wanting. New cards, something to shift the meta, so things aren't a little bit stale. But you know what? Also, a lot of players in a card game are actually looking for kind of a single-player adventure, so to speak. Other card games that have their games like Magic the Gathering, have that, and that is really what's lacking in Hearthstone. You have what is called kind of the quote-unquote tutorial mode in Hearthstone right now, but I think everyone would agree that that is really lackluster, for lack of nicer terms. The AI is pretty garbage, and it really doesn't necessarily teach you much at all about the game. You kind of just beat the classes with not the best AI, and then that's kind of the end. Here in the story mode, I think we have the promise of better AI. We have the promise of new mechanics that don't even exist in the actual multiplayer game that can, force you to at least start thinking about the game in different ways, such as like the new hero power that was announced on the new hero. I forget what his name, but is 1 mana to do 2 damage to your leftmost minion. While that kind of seems weird and overpowered, but it can get someone new used to where do you position your minions on the cardboard, where do you do what. So I think there's really something in here for everything, for everyone. Not only new neutral cards, and the neutral cards look like they're going to be bringing a lot of fun new mechanics because they seem to be focused around Death Rattle. So I think a lot of new mechanics are going to come into play, and there's going to be a lot to do for the more casual player or the new player to Hearthstone.
Certainly, Hygen the Unclean, as well as a bunch of these new Death Rattle characters. The Undertaker, a 2/1 that gives any summon minion with Death Rattle plus. Oh, it gives itself +1/+1 when you summon a minion with Death Rattle. The Nerubian Egg, Death Rattle summons a 4/4. The Baron Rivendare, possibly the scariest card, giving your minions that trigger their Death Rattles, letting it trigger twice. Chakki, what do you think? What is this going to do to the ladder and the meta?
Well, we've only seen a sixth of the new cards so far. Personally, I don't really think they're that overwhelming so far. Everybody's pretty hyped about the Baron Rivendare thing, but I don't think it looks that great right now. But I mean, there's still 25 cards left. There could be a lot more synergies coming. They've said the entire set is based around Death Rattle, so its power can only grow from what we know. New cards are always going to change some stuff. I doubt they're all going to be non-used. Everybody's going to try them out. Should be fun. New cards are always great. I'm actually interested to see how challenging Blizzard can actually make the stuff. I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to be doable in under an hour, with just bring your best constructed deck, because it's still, it's made for the public, so it's probably going to be doable with just basic cards. At least in my eyes, I don't know if they're going to do like a challenge mode or anything, but I'm interested to see like the different ways players can make it actually kind of a thing we can compete in. But it might end up just being something really, easy and new player friendly. But in my eyes, I really want a new challenge.
Yeah. Well, I think that Blizzard leaves themselves the open door to do both. And by that, I mean, certainly the first one could be casual friendly, as we call it, but they will release it over the course of 5 weeks, one wing at a time, as I've heard they've done with World of Warcraft. So they have the option, based on community feedback on the first week, to tweak later weeks and make it dramatically harder, or options to make it dramatically harder that give you better rewards. They will have an option that, obviously you're not going to in 5 weeks change the whole system, but changing the health of a few things, making a couple minor tweaks. These guys are pros. They could certainly leave the door open for themselves to make this quite a challenge if they want. And I like that idea. We'll just have to see how it's implemented, I think. Yeah,
I think it's going to turn out. Personally, I don't anticipate the dungeon mode or whatever, however you want to phrase it, to necessarily be too difficult. I think it should be pretty fun, especially if there are these unique characters that you're going up to against, unique monsters. But I think more importantly for Blizzard, they're giving themselves the tools to not only hook new players into the game, but also keep these new players, because more casual players who are new, one of the biggest complaints always, despite it being a collectible card game, is that I have to buy cards, or I have to over time earn cards. Right. Well, through this new story mode, if you complete it, one of the things is the guaranteed legendary card. And especially, legendary cards, that's a lot of things that new players or casual players are looking to get, just because, they want it. They want to start building a collection. They want some legendary cards. And I think that's really great. I don't know, they haven't announced specifics, so it's, who knows if Baron Rivendell is the guaranteed legendary or not. Right. But they are saying that if you play through the wing and you beat the final boss, you're guaranteed a guaranteed legendary.
You're guaranteed a guaranteed legendary. I think that's really great. Yeah. Guaranteed legendary.
And then, of course, the next 4 wings, and then the final, the next 4 chapters they've also announced those are purchasable. So start saving your gold. They haven't announced the price. But, start saving your gold if you're not wanting to drop the real money. Save your gold, save your dust. It's unclear whether or not they're going to introduce new packs for these cards, or if these new cards are probably going to be craftable. But it also kind of seems like if you play through all the content, you're going to earn all the cards. And I think that's what people are looking for.
Yeah,
I think they said they're not craftable. I think they're only obtainable by playing this.
That would be good. Okay. I like that idea. I think you want to force people down that road. That's sort of the point here. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And I do like that you can buy it with gold as well as money. Forcing you to spend money when you've got gold seems like a bad PR move, I guess is the best way to describe it.
They're definitely going to keep the game free to play entirely if you so choose. I think they're going to stick to that forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gotta tell you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, do it, man. Hearthstone on the iPad. I promise you, there is not a more fun way to play this game. Well, not a more fun way to play this game on your own. So, as we go back into the last segment, Chakki, what is your favorite video game system or console?
Definitely a PC guy. Other than that, I like the Nintendo consoles. I used those when I grew up, but right now, just all PC all the time.
And so growing up, what was your favorite classic video game?
I really liked Frogger. And besides that, like Pokemon, everybody likes Pokemon now. But
was this the original Frogger, or the kind of newish version that came out like 10 years later? Like the really cheap 8-bit or 4-bit, that really like two-dimensional?
I played both.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad had like the really old version, and we would actually we played all the really old games. Whenever we had like a family get-together, we would have like a tournament for every really old game, and I would always win the Frogger one, so I liked that.
Woohoo! Nicely done. What is your least favorite level or boss in a video game?
So I don't exactly know what level it was, but there was like this DS game, and this was like 7 years ago, called like Lost Magic. Okay. It's like an RTS, kind of similar to the StarCraft controls.
Sure.
And I've never been really good at RTSs, and this is like my first one ever. So there was this one level, and I just literally couldn't beat it, and it's the only level I've ever quit a game over. So I quit playing that game because I could not progress.
Do you know what it was about that level that you couldn't beat? Like, was it overwhelming minions or you?
It was a 5-minute timer where you had to and basically these minions respawned, So you had to keep like 3 different waves back while obtaining like the objective in under 5 minutes. It was really hard.
Yeah, the time-based
for me
objectives.
Anyway, I don't know. Some people are probably like, oh, what a joke.
No, everyone's got their weakness. Everyone's got something that stumps them, and that's why we, like to find out about them. Certainly, time-based objectives have been some of the hardest I've found in the games I've played. So I could totally hear you on that.
Yeah, I'm more of a turn-based slow guy.
Even if there's a timer burning across the screen. What character turns you on creatively, spiritually, emotionally?
I don't know if there's like anything from video games really. Okay. But like speaking just in general about even like TV show characters, I really like the concept of like the anti-heroes. Mm-hmm. Like specific, if I had to name one specifically, probably like Lelouch from Code Geass.
Okay.
I just really like the anti-hero personality. Sure.
That's become really popular lately too, even in big Hollywood blockbusters. There's definitely been a shift in the last 5 to 10 years for a legitimate anti-hero.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey from what's it called, House of Cards.
House of Cards.
That's another anti-hero personality I really like.
He's Shakespearean level though. Like he takes it to a fantastic level. Yeah, he's amazing. What turns you off?
Probably just like reoccurring characters that really don't have much depth to them. They're just kind of there as filler, or like really good guys for no reason, I guess. Like people that are just like justice and all that. I don't know. Not a big fan of that.
What about persistent Reddit threads? Do those turn you off?
Those are interesting.
Cool. What sound effect or phrase do you love?
I love the Murloc sound, man. Everybody hates that, but I just love the Murlocs. They all have like their different pitch.
Yeah, it's humorous when you're not being beaten down by it. That's for sure. What sound effect or phrase do you hate?
I don't really know. That kind of replaces the hate, because that's what everybody hates.
Yeah. So then we'll skip that question and just give me an impression of your favorite Murloc then, if you like.
Oh my gosh. I knew this would happen. Murloc!
That's really good. That's really good.
Not bad. That's bad.
That's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a half-assed Murgle. No, that was good. What character would you like to be?
Probably like Aang from The Last Airbender, just because I want to be the Avatar.
Cool. And then what character would you not like to be?
I don't want to be Anduin. That's who I don't want to be.
Okay.
I was half expecting you to say Aang from the movie Avatar.
Oh my
by M. Night Shyamalan.
That too.
Touche. Well played. If life were an RPG, what one stat would you max out? Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma?
This is probably like the most stereotypical answer, but probably intelligence.
Okay. In fact, I've never had a stereotypical answer. I've asked 5 or 6 people this question, and I've gotten different answers for different reasons from everybody. It's an interesting one. Intelligence is certainly a good answer. What is your favorite curse word?
Probably damn.
Okay.
Not too bad, but...
Okay. That's not bad. And if heaven exists, what game would you like to have waiting for you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
If I had to pick like one game, I probably like overall had the most fun playing like League of Legends in the span of my life, so I'll take that.
Nice. Very nice. A League of Legends guy. So not an RTS guy, but more of a MOBA and trading card game guy. Very cool. Do you have any interest or are you excited in any way or not really about the Blizzard, I guess, hero brawler or MOBA, whatever you want to call it, Heroes of the Storm?
I haven't played it yet, but I've looked into it a bit. I don't really think it's going to be that great unless they change a lot of things, which I guess they could. There's not a lot of hype around it either. It kind of died down. So I have no expectations. I'll play it, though. I'll try it.
You'll give it a shot? You know, it is only in tech alpha, so, I mean, we're not quite there yet. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm interested to see how it's going to develop, and recently got access to it, so I'm going to be creating some content for that. So for those of you out there who might be interested in looking for some future content about the development of that game and how it plays out, you can actually stay tuned to my YouTube channel. And actually, for any of you subscribers out there, if you want to check out a video I posted for you subscribers, I'm asking you just to answer a couple quick questions for me to help me shape my YouTube channel. So more than happy to have you guys come and take a look at that in the next couple days. So on that note, I think we will round out the show and bring it to a close. Chakki, it's been really fun having you on, and certainly a lot of good insight, and there'll be more King of the Hills to come. You'll certainly at least be on the next one. So I want to say for that, good luck, and I hope you do well, and look forward to seeing how you evolve and develop your decks for that. And if you want to come back sometime, we could talk about that too.
All right. Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Tarn, any final words?
Just really to echo what you said. Thanks again, of course, Chakki, for coming on. It was a really fun show. As always, and I'm looking forward to next week. I'm not sure where I'll be. I might be out of state. I might be back here, but I will be around and live as usual.
Nice. So those of you out there watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Coming through iHeartU. We all know there's a lot of great content out there, as well as good matches like the King of the Hill. So thank you guys for watching and coming from there. You can find us Monday nights on Twitch and on YouTube shortly the day after. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week. Anybody mind if I roll need?